Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about the OPPO Watch 3. So this is the all new addition to the OPPO smartwatch series. And it's pretty much like the OPPO Watch, just more budget, has less functionality, doesn't get GPS, and the rest of it. So in this particular review, we'll be talking about this watch's design, display, and of course, the features and functions. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you are new to Wesknows tech news and reviews, we talk about the latest tech news. We do brutally honest reviews and share hacks and tricks along the way. As I've just mentioned, we will be talking about the OPPO Watch 3. As you can see, I've just taken it off and there are no marks around the wrist. So the strap is obviously, well, pretty decent quality. It might not look that good, but we'll get onto it just a bit later. So we will structure this review in the following way. First of all, we'll talk about the design. Then we'll talk about the display and then the features and functions. And first of all, let's kick off with design. It looks absolutely flawless. It does. Just look at that beautiful display sitting there. So it's basically a screen that's edge to edge, brim to brim. It does look very much like the Huawei Band 6, but slightly bigger. Well, it is a 1.69-inch display after all. But it doesn't look as big as the Huawei Watch Fit 2, but that makes sense because that is almost a full-on smartwatch. So this is a tracker, but it does cost you quite a bit of money. £89, which is around 120 bucks. So it's priced like a very premium fitness tracker. But is it? Well, the design, when you're just looking at the actual screen, yeah, it's premium. But then we get into the actual watch case. Aluminium, yep, so good to hold. We can see that the straps are actually tapered to the actual watch case. Makes it look kind of classy and sporty. So far, so good. We take a look at the underside. Well, here it doesn't look premium at all. It's just the plain rigid plastic on the back. It's not glossy, it's not ceramic, it's just plastic. If we talk about the straps, well, they're the funny proprietary straps. Why funny? Well, because they're actually 19 millimeters wide. So they're not 18, they're not 20, they're 19. So right there in the middle. And on top of it, even though they are the quick release straps, you just pull the little metal lever over here and they come off, they do sit in quite a peculiar way. So it does seem like these are proprietary straps to OPPO. So if you want a different band, say leather, if you want maybe metal, you'll have to go to the OPPO online store to get it. Also, in regards to the strap, so even though you could see that I've got no red marks, so there's no irritation whatsoever, this strap has a funny texture to it. It is soft, and I think they tried to make it look like faux leather, you know, like the fake leatherette look. And they sort of achieved it, but it also looks cheap. So you can see the texture on here. It's a bit funny. It looks like leather, but it's not. It's plastic. Now, the clasp, I think that's a pretty good clasp because it follows on with the classic watch type clasp, but then you do this tuck-in feature at the end. And I like that because I think it's just better than having this end of the strap sort of hanging around. So I think the strap and the clasp is okay. It's just actual material of the strap that I don't quite get. But nonetheless, I think the watch does look, well, the part. It looks like it does cost £89 or 120 bucks. No issues there. If we talk about the dimensions of the actual watch case, we get 46 millimeters by 29.7 by 10.6 millimeters. So that means that it doesn't sit that high on top of your wrist, just over 10 millimeters. So that's a little bit thinner than the Huawei Band 6 and a little bit thicker than the Huawei Band 7. But in a nutshell, that's still very slim indeed. It's also feather light, so the actual fitness tracker is just over 20 grams. But of course, you're not just gonna have the tracker with you, you need the bands with it. So all in all, it's 32.7 grams, or just under 33 grams, which is quite an achievement. It's got quite a big display, and yet it's pretty much feather light. Something you will also notice is that there's no capacitive button. So that's no button under the screen, which is great. That means there's no fat lower lip, but there's also no actual button on the watch case. So if you recall, in the Huawei Band 7 or the 6 or the Huawei Watch Fit 2, there is a button on the side of the watch case that adds that extra functionality to the fitness tracker and brings it into the realm of almost a smartwatch. And you can technically call it a hybrid between a fitness tracker and a smartwatch. Here it's a fitness tracker, but that's quite unfortunate, because if there was a button on the side, I think it would really complement the design and it would really make this premiumly priced tracker stand out from the rest of the options on the market. Anyway, that's pretty much it about the design. Now let's talk about the display of the OPPO Watch 3. Right, so let's get into the display of this watch. So what can we see? Well, we see this beautiful 1.64-inch AMOLED display. The display is what you look at most of the time when you actually use the tracker, and you will love what you see here. This huge display, brim to brim, edge to edge. The colors are bright. The display is not pixelated in any shape or form. After all, it does get 326 ppi, so that's basically the resolution that you would expect on a premium smartwatch, something like the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4, the Huawei Watch GT3, or even the Amazfit GT3. So the resolution is very good on here. As we mentioned, 1.64-inch AMOLED display. So with this watch, you are actually getting 6 brightness levels. But if you do want to save your battery juice, you can actually set up auto brightness. Auto brightness means there is an ambient light sensor on here, and when it's really bright around you, the watch gets even brighter, so you can actually see what's written on the watch. And if it's really dark around you, say nighttime, well, it actually dims the display, and because you just don't need all that brightness, and that saves you the battery juice. Now, in regards to battery, I know it's not display, but it's quite important. So there is a claimed battery life of 14 days with the OPPO Watch 3. Now, I've managed to get out of it about 10, maybe 10 and a half days, so that's pretty good as well. So you are getting a week and a half of clean usage without having to worry about charging this thing up. So that's pretty much the display. It doesn't have always on display. That's unfortunate. Now, if you talk about the actual screen on top here, good quality. 2.5D Gorilla Glass. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's curved around the edges, and this is really tempered glass, meaning that it will save you from the usual daily wear and tear. It's not going to pick up the micro scratches, but if you do throw it against the wall, you might crack it. So don't throw it against the wall. Now, the OPPO Watch also gets 40 dynamic faces, which is pretty cool. And it's also got this, I don't know if it's a cool feature. Sometimes I feel that the OPPO Watch is trying to be more cool than it really is. Reminding me of Fitbit, actually. You can actually take a photo of your clothes, and then it will dynamically match colors and give you a matched sort of palette of colors on your watch. So basically your watch face will match the color scheme of what you're wearing. I think that's potentially very stylish, potentially, but I think that this tracker is trying to do more things than it really should. Because if it's a fitness tracker, then please be focused on the fitness, be focused on the health metrics. If you want to be just a stylish item, well, I think that's a completely separate kettle of fish. Simply because giving you something that gives you a dynamic face or something that looks very stylish is just not enough to be sold as an accessory for a stylish person. I think people actually buy themselves fitness trackers more for the health metrics, for the fitness stats, that sort of thing. People just want to become more active or actually keep track of how active they really are. If they want to make a fashion statement, then they would go out and actually buy themselves an Apple Watch. Well, that's what I think. Anyways, enough about the design, enough about the display. Let's get into the features and functions, because the OPPO Watch 4 does show us that it can stand up and fight. So let's look at some of these cool features and functions. With the features and functions of the OPPO Watch 3, let's start off with its fitness metrics. So first of all, it's got 100 sport modes. All of them are goal-based, and that's really good stuff, meaning that you can set a time objective, a calories to be burnt objective, or a distance to be covered goal for your activity. So that is pretty cool. Now you've got a set of favorites in your default sports screen or fitness screen. So when you go in there, you can actually add more exercises, or you can delete exercise. So you've got 100 to choose from, and that is really good. So this thing is 580 and waterproof, so you can take it to the pool with you and you can swim in it, because it does have a swimming activity as a sport mode in there. Also, there are 4 auto-recognized activities here. So you're walking, you're running, as well as your elliptical training and rowing exercise. So that's pretty cool, but that is very standard, and basically every tracker out in the market does that today. By every tracker, I do mean the more of the known brands. I'm not talking about the niche ones. So I'm talking about the Huawei, I'm talking about the Honor, the Samsungs, and so forth. But again, at 90 quid a pop, or what is it, 100 bucks, I would expect something a bit more than just 4 auto-recognized activities. There is no inbuilt GPS here, and that's a real shame, because we're looking at a price point that sort of separates it away from the budget trackers, and it doesn't really put them into this hybrid range of about 100 to 150 bucks. It's just below that, but nonetheless it's got this huge display, but there is no GPS, but you've got 100 sport modes, so it's not here nor there. So if you are going for your runs or your long cycles, you still need your phone with you to measure the distance that you covered. You do get a music controller on your watch face, and because the screen size is rather large, you can actually navigate your music quite easily with this watch. If we talk about the health metrics, well, we've got the 24/7 heart rate monitoring. Great, no questions asked, but that's also a very basic features. We're not gonna get into the other basic features like your weather widgets, your timer, your stopwatch. We know that fitness trackers or smartwatches, whatever we have here, they do notify you of your texts, your incoming calls, and so forth. So that's the basic stuff. But what about the really cool features here? Well, you do have quite a decent sleep monitor. So it registers your going to sleep times, your wake times, and in between it registers your deep, light, and REM sleep. So that is a really cool feature. Also, battery life. 14 days claimed, considering that the screen is large and it is very bright indeed. But that's not all in regards to features and functions. Well, that's all for the good stuff. Now let's get onto the cons. So first of all, I noticed there is no stress monitor here. So on basically any fitness tracker I get today, again from the big brands out there, which can be priced at half price of this thing here, they get stress monitors, and these are continuous throughout the day, and I do find them quite useful, because when I can see that my stress is spiking up, be it a hard day at work, well, I know that I might have to go into my breathing exercises and actually use them to calm me down and get my stress levels back to normal. So this thing here doesn't give you stress level monitoring. I think that's a major con. Of course, I did mention at the start of the video that I want to talk about the navigation of this watch. Well, the fact is, because it doesn't have a button on either side, it doesn't have a capacitive button. All it is basically a touch activated display. It does make this rather good looking watch kind of, well, not as useful as it could be, because really you have to get around just using touches, swipes, and taps. Now, it also works in a rather frustrating way, because if you want to get to your main widgets page or your main apps page, you actually have to swipe right. But if you want to get to your shortcut menus, you swipe left to see basically your activity levels for the day, your sleep, your heart rate, your blood oxygen. So it doesn't really make much sense. So it's not a circular movement. If you swipe right, the only way to get out back to home is by swiping all the way back to home. It just feels a bit awkward. Now, if you do swipe right and you go to your apps, let's say you click on exercise. You go to exercise, you choose walk. You go in to get out. As per usual, you swipe right. But then to get back home, you have to swipe left. it's just, I don't know, the UI just seems a bit tacky. It takes time to get used to it. It's not as fluid as you would get on the other brands. And if you think about Xiaomi, Amazfit, Samsung's, even the Apple Watch, they all use very similar gestures. So knowing how one watch operates, you can sort of get through to the others. This one, it sort of breaks that pattern. So I'm not too keen on that. Another big con that I found with this watch is that when you go into your activities history, so all you get is a summary screen and your heart rate zones. But where is my heart rate plot? I actually want to see this on this beautiful AMOLED display, but you just don't have the opportunity. It's just simply not there. And this is boring. And again, at this price point, it's pretty much unforgivable. Anyways, this is pretty much it for the review and overview of the OPPO Watch 3. I think it does have some strong points, great battery life, great display, but also it's got some major drawbacks, and I would really consider some other options on the market. I will be doing some comparisons with other smartwatches and fitness trackers and hybrid smartwatches against the OPPO Watch 3, so make sure to hit that subscribe button below the video and watch those videos, because at the end of the day, any watch has to add the most value to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.